Hey everybody, I'm here today to talk to you about the 5 worst car trends ever. In this video, I'll be telling you about 5 car trends that were happening, and some of them are still happening, and in my opinion, they're not great. Now, don't get me wrong, you can modify your car however you want, but I personally just really didn't like these car trends, and I still don't like them. Now, it's just an opinion video, so like I said, I'm not speaking about facts. This is just my honest opinion. So the first car trend that I really hated was all show, no go. Now, this was an era where cars were just being souped up and modified with regards to the body of the car, but people weren't focusing on the power or the braking or the performance of the car. So what would happen is you get this car that someone bought for $5,000 and they end up putting a body kit, an exhaust, a huge spoiler, a paint job, a complete in-car entertainment system, all of this stuff on the car. They bought it for $5,000. They spent $25,000 on modifying the body, and the engine is still the engine of a $5,000 car. There's no go, all show, no go. I like modifying the body of a car to look great, but in my opinion, if you're gonna make a car look like it's so fast, then at least make it pretty fast as well. It's as simple as that. Car trend number 2 that I really didn't like were spinner rims. Now, when they first came out, I was like, wow, they're so cool. But after like a couple of weeks of seeing them on these vehicles, these chrome spinners, I was like, not my favorite thing. I mean, they can be added to a car tastefully. If a car is completely chromed out, it's maybe a big truck or an old car, and it has big wheels and it's chrome everywhere, it just looks like a chrome vehicle, then maybe spinners would be okay. But when you saw a pair of rims, a set of spinner rims that were like $5,000 or $10,000, like they were insanely expensive on a car that was only worth $5,000 or $10,000 in itself, I was like, I don't really agree with this. I don't really like the way that they look. It's like you put the best rims on a not so great car. That's what I didn't like. Car trend number 3 that I really didn't like was when people were putting bobbleheads and plush toys on their dash. Now, I mean, it's a cool way to show everyone else what you like if you put your favorite bobbleheads on there, your favorite plush toys. It's a cool way to show off some of your interests, but they're such a distraction. I mean, you're driving, not only do they block off like a whole area of your windshield, but as you're driving, you got the bobbleheads bobbling around. It's like, you can't tell me you're not distracted when all you see is this on your dashboard or in your rear windshield. Some people do that, like when they have a hatchback, and it's distracting for them, but it's also distracting for the driver behind them, because the person that's driving behind them just sees this all day long, the entire ride. So I mean, it just wasn't my favorite car trend. Car trend number 4 that I actually really hated this. It was the time in which huge spoilers were a thing. Now, there are benefits of spoilers. There are aerodynamic benefits of spoilers when you're going really fast or when you have a car that has a ton of horsepower. But people were getting these cars with like 130 horsepower and they were putting these monstrous spoilers on them, thinking that it gave them more power or more aerodynamic force. And if your car is a relatively low horsepower car, there's nothing wrong with that, but it doesn't need the force of the spoiler. If you want to put a huge spoiler on your car because it looks cool, that's great. But don't fool yourself by thinking that when you're flooring it with 130, 100 horsepower, even 180 horsepower, that spoiler is going to make a huge difference in keeping your car on the ground before it lifts off. If you put a huge spoiler on your car, all that I'm saying is make sure that you have the go. You have the power to back that up. And last but not least, the 5th worst car trend that I really didn't like, and it's still happening right now, is extreme camber. It all depends on how you say it. Now, camber is when you actually get the wheels of the car, and instead of them being relatively straight like they come from the factory, you bump them out, or even you bump them in, right? So but most people will bump them out. Now, there's nothing wrong with getting them and just bringing them like a few degrees out, but when you see those cars where it's like they're sticking out like this, it's like, man, come on, it's unique, that's for sure. but the wear and tear on the tires is probably insane. The maintenance for the camber kit is probably insane because, you hit a pothole in the wrong way, you're going to cause some damage. In my opinion, it's just not a very tasteful look. It's unique, but it's not a very tasteful look. Now, please, just take this into consideration. These are only my opinions. Just keep that in mind. I'm not saying these are horrible car trends. I just didn't like them that much. And I've done some pretty crazy things to my car, like paint all of the interior trim pieces baby blue back in the day. Anyone that knows me from high school knows that my first car, I painted every interior trim piece that I could remove baby blue, and that was so distasteful. So I'm not an exception to the rule. We all do things, but I just wanted to make this video to tell you 5 of the worst car trends ever that I absolutely hated, and pretty much I still don't like them. And that's it. If you liked the video, be sure to give it a thumbs up. Let me know what you think down below as a comment. And of course, be sure to subscribe for more great car and driving videos just like this one. And that's all I have for you today. Thanks for watching.